edition of Pure Picks. I'm your host, James, and we're here to break down UFC Fight Night, Perez versus Taira, coming up this Saturday. Before we get into that, I did want to recap a couple events because we were actually, for at least for me, I was off of the video breakdowns for last week. Decided just to take a little bit of a break for the videos. I did provide the raw notes for Discord for Pure Picks Pros members, and they were able to get in on those notes. But I digress. Let's go and recap some of the plays that we had the last 2 weeks. So let's start off with UFC 302. Overall, we're up 1.68 units, so not too bad. Could have been worse, could have been better, but we still had a profit for UFC 302. What I was most proud of was our group was able to still cash. I mean, one of our members had a 5-figure night. Hats off to him. If you guys want to see some of the plays that he had, got to be a pro member. He showed us his tickets. Everything looked fantastic. So yeah, really good for him. Speaking of 5-figure plays, let's go to the next event. I mean, we're up 4.35 units, and our man Kevin had a $22,000 hit off a 5K play for a 3-leg parlay. So we see here Bracatona, Punahele. I believe the last one was Nasruddin Imavov. So those are the 3 legs. And he cashed in 22K for that one play. So yeah, speaking of 5-figure plays, that's one for you guys right there. Obviously, he also had Dom Reyes, and I also had Dom Reyes as well. I mean, and look at here, we got nearly a 2x on him. So not a bad play there. But going into more in depth with our plays from last week in Louisville, we had a fantastic play again. I mean, a fantastic card. I mean, up 4.35 units. I don't want to get into too much of the fluff. I really like to be direct and straight to the point. We're just here to provide you some good picks so you guys can cash. That's the main reason why we're here. Obviously, also is to get that money, but we really do enjoy week in and week out providing you guys the best EV plays, best picks possible. Looking over our bets, once again, I mean, if you guys want to look into more deeply, Dominic Reyes was my underdog lock of the week. Very confident in him. I wish we even threw a 5-unit play on him, but we only did 1 unit. Zachary Reese was another underdog pick of ours. That me and Gerard and Alex all loved this play at the end of the week. So we were able to have him in the straight picks. Ludovic Klein, me and Alex really like that as a straight play right there. And one of my parlays hit. It was the Andrea Lee over 2.5, Marcos over 2.5, Stamen over 2.5. Recommended 1 unit on that, so we got a unit there. The only play that I missed was the fight doesn't go the distance with Uja Tumar. Never again am I playing a women's fight to end inside the distance. I've learned my lesson there. For the rest of the plays, I'm sure that Alex and Gerard will probably go over them, but yeah, just great night for us overall. Once again, I mean, Kevin got a 22K play right there, 2.3 Gs off of Dominic Reyes. So it's been going good, man. I mean, we've been cashing. Highly recommend everybody go to purepicks.gg. Once again, no fluff, no BS, no time wasting. Straight up just the best plays and picks, parlays that is in the space right now, in my opinion. If you guys want to just track our overall plays, I mean, BetMA tips, that's where we put our plays on, but obviously they're paid, so you have to be a Discord member, Pure Picks Pro member to get them. But look at the performance that we had. I mean, 11% ROI overall. Straight picks, 22%. Ridiculous. Parlays, 12%. Only area where we've been missing are the props. So we need to improve on that, or maybe not play those as much, but I'm really proud of our straight picks. Another little known fact, we've been, I hope this doesn't jinx it, but we've been undefeated on light heavyweight plays. So this includes the Anthony Smiths of the world. This includes the Dominic Reyes of the world, Carlos Olberg. We've been really good with those light heavyweights. That's just one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about as well. I mean, and look at our performance over time. We've been doing great. We hit that nice little ceiling right there. And then we had a little bit of a down couple weeks, but we're right back at it. So since we've been tracking it since November 2023, and it's been about a little over 7 months, we're positive 11% ROI. And I honestly think that we're, for the price that we're charging $10 a month, we're doing a lot better than a lot of other services cappers that are in the space right now. And we know we take a lot of dedication and pride in doing these. So at the end of the day, the plays will always be posted on Discord. Raw notes will usually always be provided by me in the Discord. That's one of the perks of Pure Picks Pro member. In terms of the breakdown videos, I'm going to try to do my best to do them every week. But, there are going to be some weeks where I may not want to do video. And, I think that at the end of the day, I love doing YouTube videos and, kind of trying to build audience. But the people that I owe the most are going to be the Pure Picks Pros member. So I'm going to, devote all my attention there, try to give them the best picks, always give them the raw notes. And hey, the YouTube thing is going to be here, but there might be some weeks where maybe I don't do a breakdown. Maybe just hop on with Alex and Gerard, do some best bets. But I think that we've been doing pretty good here. So we're just going to continue to keep this train rolling. And once again, comments, all the hate, all the love, keep on bringing them in, because we're not in this space to make friends. We're in this space to help people get money, especially our Pure Pick Pros member. So yeah, that's pretty much it from that standpoint. I do wanted to get into the kind of event for this week. Looking over this week, I think that I mean there's going to be some, I think, rough spots in this week. There's potential dogs that could be barking, but overall, I do like some of the plays here. I feel like it's going to be a chalky kind of card. I think that a lot of favorites are going to cash, so this might be a good week to parlay a lot of them. So I think that's the main thing that I'll be looking for. I'm not going to, even though I see some of the dogs that could be winning, I don't think I'm going to back too many. So let's just get started with the breakdown. So up first, we have Melk Costa versus Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Now, Melk Costa, obviously, he's coming off a loss, Steve Garcia, right? Shayilan also coming off a loss of Steve Garcia. I'm leaning towards Shayilan in this spot. And actually, let's look at the odds before we get into that a little deeper. Costa opened up at minus 135. Now he's at minus 190. I understand where that line movement is. I mean, I think Costa, is the rightful favorite. I'm leaning Shayilan in this spot. Reason why is, Costa is going to be the better striker on the feet. I think that he can easily get out muscled by Shayilan on the ground throughout the fight. I mean, I think, Shayilan is a committed grappler, likes to bully his opponents, and Melk's style and just body seems to be susceptible to that game plan. I do think that Melk's a good grappler in his own right, so I could definitely see him find the sub if Shayilan is not patient and measured in his approach. But I like that Shayilan is good at racking up control time, and this could be a close fight within some margins. So I think that could be really beneficial down the stretch. So quick breakdown for me. I'm gonna go Shayilan via decision, but I'm passing for now. I don't believe enough of him as a dog to actually cash him as a dog ticket. So I'm just gonna pass on this fight entirely. But I'll be monitoring line movement. Maybe we get a better price on Costa, then I'll maybe think about it honestly. But at these odds right now, I do like the value on the fighter from China. Let's move on to the next fight. So next fight we have Josefine Knutsson versus Julia Polastri. Yeah, this fight I gotta go with Knutsson here. In no way am I gonna recommend her as a play in this fight, but Polastri, she has the skills and tools on the feet to be competitive. I think that she could also catch Knutsson here. I just think that Knutsson, she does like to pressure forward and throw wide hooks. And, I could see that the best attacks that Polastri has is her straights. So usually the straights get to the fighter quicker than the hooks, right? So that could be a little bit of trouble for Knutsson. Where I do see Knutsson excelling here is going to be their grappling and top control. I mean, Knutsson has a really good cage push. She does well in succeeding to land takedowns in the cage pushes or just straight up open mat takedowns. I think once on top too, she has a grinding style that could keep her in a dominant position. Polastri's weakness has been her takedown defense. And once on the ground, she likes to go for subs and is willing to stay active off her back. So I like Knutsson here, riding Polastri to the snooze fest decision win. I think I forgot to tell you guys the odds, but she opened up at minus 185. Now it's minus 203. So not much line movement, honestly. She was a minus 240 favorite at one point. Yeah, but I'm gonna go Knutsson here. I think that via decision is probably the best play for her. I do like the over 2.5 minus 350 as a solid parlay piece. I think this fight will go to decision. Both girls are pretty tough. And I think that, I think that even if Polastri gets to the ground, I don't think she's going to get finished. So yeah, give me the over 2.5 on that fight. I do like it as a solid parlay piece there. Let's move on to the next fight here. So this is one of my favorite fights of the night. Jeka Saragih versus Westin Wilson. Let's look at the odds for that one. So Jeka minus 335 opened up at a minus 350. I gotta go with my man Jeka here. I mean, I have a long history with Jeka. I just so first time I saw Jeka, he fought the Indian guy, Jubilee, and I actually backed him in that fight. And throughout the fight, I was wondering why I did that because this man he didn't seem like he was taking the fight seriously, just being like controlled the whole time, making stupid ass faces throughout the fight. I just think that this is another potential, last opportunity that we have to fade Westin Wilson here. Wilson, he just does not seem like a UFC caliber fighter, and I feel that this is, Jeka's kind of reward for coming in clutch as a huge underdog in his last fight. I am just a tiny bit scared from backing Jeka because, in that Jubilee fight, he was just kind of dominated. But I don't think Westin has the grappling to kind of throw Jeka off in this matchup. Also, the biggest deterrent for Westin in this fight is going to be he just has little to no chin for power strikers. I mean, this guy's been KO'd a bunch of times. And I think that that's the one area where Jeka truly excels is finding the KO shots. So, Weston's going to keep his hands low like he does. He likes to fight in that karate kind of blitz style, keeping the hands low. He just doesn't have that finesse or, the technique that MVP has or, Wonder Boy has. So I think Jeka's going to eventually just kind of find a KO here. Jeka via KO for me, I think he's a parlay piece. I think he's going to knock this guy out. Let's move on to the next fight. So we have Carli Judice versus Gabriella Fernandes. Let's look at the odds for this banger. We have minus 155 open for Gabriella. Now she's a minus 155. So throughout all that time, she's gone back to her opening line movement. For this fight, and it's a tough one, but I think I will side with Fernandes in the spot. This could be a mostly striking matchup or should be a mostly striking matchup. And, I like the more experienced fighter here. Judice, she has literally 4 UFC MMA fights. She's coming off a loss in the Dana White Contender Series. I think, Fernandes is obviously coming off a loss too, but it was an official UFC bout. And, it was just literally a year and a half ago that she was a slight favorite to Jasmine Jasudavicius. So, both women in this fight have poor takedown defense. I just doubt that either will shoot here, and I think this will likely also go to decision. Also, both women are durable, as neither of them have been finished. A little bit worried that this is, Carli's 4th or 5th fight, so, maybe that data is not skewed the best, but the pick here is going to be Fernandes via decision for me. I do like playing the over 2.5 as a more solid play here. I think that we're getting a bit of a discount on it. I mean, it opened up at a minus 275. Now it's minus 205. So I think that there's a little bit of a discount there. And, after last week, maybe I'll be wrong this week, but I think that most women's fights are most likely going to go over, especially if it's a mostly striking matchup. So that's where my thought process is there. Let's move on to the next fight here. So we have Josh Quinlan versus Adam Fugitt. Let's look at the odds for this fight too. So Josh Quinlan minus 125, opened up at a minus 145. There was a point where he was played to an underdog twice in the last few weeks. I gotta go with Adam Fugitt. I'm leaning towards him actually. Quinlan took a lot of damage in his last KO loss to Danny Barlow. I mean, I actually watched that fight live with the Pure Picks crew in Anaheim, and I think he's coming back a little quick after less than 4 months. I mean, he took a lot of damage in that fight. Fugitt, he also has some durability issues, but Quinlan's style of launching looping shots, and I think that there could be some danger there, but I think the problem is that Fugitt's going to be too long for Quinlan to kind of catch him. Quinlan's already been befuddled by long and rangy opponents before, like Trey Waters and Danny Barlow. And I also think that he can get out wrestled in this matchup because Adam Fugitt is a better wrestler than either of those guys that Quinlan fought. So, I do wish that I was a little bit more sure in Adam Fugitt because I feel like he has the skill set to defeat Quinlan, but I just see some danger in him being cracked by Quinlan's shots. And, Fugitt also, does have some durability issues, like I mentioned. So, pick here is going to be Fugitt via KO for me. But for now, I'm leaning towards passing on this fight because I see better plays that we could have going forward. Let's move on to the next fight. So we have a flyweight matchup. This is going to be Jimmy Flick versus Nate Maness. Look at the odds for this fight. Maness is now a minus 500, opened up at a minus 350. So, yeah, big time favorite there. I'm going to go with Maness here in this spot. I mean, Flick's best way to win seems to be pulling subs out of his ass. I don't think that's a long-term viable strategy at the UFC level. Flick does have some high-level, jiu-jitsu skills. Don't get me wrong there, but his striking is just god-awful. It's pretty bad. His defense is even worse. I think coupling these with his horrendous durability, I just can't back Flick in these fights. So give me Maness here. I think he has the good wrestling game, solid 78% takedown defense to keep it standing. Or if he chooses, he can also impose his will on the ground. I mean, I think that he's going to be the better striker. He should just have Flick covered everywhere here. So I like Maness via KO. Minus 500 may be a bit steep now, but I do think it's a lock. I think, yeah, it'll probably be now where I'll, this will be the limits of where I'll play it because minus 500 is a bit steep, but I think he's going to end up knocking out Jimmy Flick here. Let's move on to the next fight. So, personally, this is going to be my fight of the night. I think that there's going to be a lot of high octane action here. We have Tagir Ulanbekov versus Joshua Van, the chosen one for Pure Picks. Let's look at the odds for this fight. So, Ulanbekov minus 245 opened. Now he's a minus 225. So, has been some dog action taken, but now lately in the last week or so, a lot of people have been going back on the Tagir bust here. I gotta go with Josh Van. I mean, this is a tough fight for me to pick, but I gotta go with our boy Josh Van here. I mean, you guys know our history with Josh Van. He's one of our favorite fighters. He's cashed us a lot of tickets throughout the past year or few months. Man, I do think that this is going to be a big jump in competition for for Josh Van. I mean, Ulanbekov is regarded as a top 10 level fighter at flyweight at least, and there's definitely a possibility that Van gets subbed here. I'm not going to discount that fact, but I also believe that Van has some distinct advantages in this fight, so it's not all bad for our boy Van. Ulanbekov is a decent striker, but his striking defense is a little bit lacking, and I expect Van to land with high frequency throughout the course of the fight, especially later on in rounds 2 and 3. I do think that Van may give the first round to Ulanbekov, but I think that he's going to make his reads and just take over down the stretch, which has been Van's trademark at this point. He's literally done it in every single one of his UFC fights. Round one will be the most dangerous for Van. Both fighters are going to be dry. They're not going to be sweating. And it's going to be easier for Ulanbekov to find a choke. He loves to find those chokes, especially with his long arms. I just think that, Van is improving tremendously at a young age. He knows that the grappling, submission, defense, I think he was getting ready for Tatsuro Taira. They put him on this fight. So he was already getting prepared for a grappler. And I think that he's been working on that, obviously. He is 10-1, as you guys can see there. That one loss was to submission. So, that was when he, like a few years ago. I just find it hard to believe that he's going to get subbed again. So, I think that especially for this fight, he's been preparing for it. And I like that he stays active, after the back, right? He does threaten with subs himself. So yeah, give me Van via decision. I'm gonna monitor this line movement. I do think that Van is probably gonna be a better play live, right? After he survives round one and he looks good. So I think that might be the best entry point. But at these odds, I don't mind playing Van at plus 190 either. I mean, that's not too bad. So yeah, either get him at live or get him at plus odds now, but definitely get him at some decent odds because I do think that he's going to be the one that kind of upsets Tagir, right? Because I feel like everyone's on Tagir this week. We gotta ride with our boy Josefine. So yeah, give me Van in this matchup. Let's move on to the next fight here. So we have the feature prelim of the night, according to ESPN. We have Brady Hiestand versus Garrett Armfield in this bantamweight matchup. Let's look at the odds right now. Garrett Armfield's minus 180, opened up at a minus 220. So, yeah, I mean, right now the lean for me is going to be Armfield. I think that he should be the better, cleaner striker in this fight. I do have some concerns that he may be pressured via grappling. I mean, Brady is actually the larger fighter here. Brady's also pretty relentless. I do think that Armfield's gonna, he was able to stay at range against a smaller Brad Katona in his last fight, but he's not gonna have the same advantages versus Hiestand. And also Armfield, he started to slow down a bit in round 3 of his last fight, and we just saw Brady pull off a come from behind KO win in round 3 in his last fight. So even with these concerns, I do think that Brady leaves his chin too open too often, and Armfield should be able to catch him clean for the majority of the time. He is not fending off any takedowns. So pick here for me is going to be Armfield via decision. I'm going to pass for now, though. I think that there's better plays on this card to go for. Let's look at the next fight that we have. So we're in the main card now, and we have Almabaev versus Jose Johnson. I believe that Jose is actually coming up from we're coming down from 135, if I'm not mistaken. So this is going to be a light flyweight debut for him in the UFC at least. Actually, let me just check on that just to make sure real quick. Yeah, so he fought Chad and Helger, and I'm pretty sure those guys are bantamweights. So yeah, this is gonna be his first fight flyweight in the UFC at least. Odds for this fight, we have Azu at minus 600, open up at minus 425. Totally agree with that line movement. Azu is gonna be the pick here. Jose has a horrible 36% takedown defense, and Azu is as committed a wrestler as I've seen in the flyweight division. Really the only hope I see for Jose is if he catches some kind of Hail Mary sub, and as Azu shoots for a takedown, but I don't rate that as a high probability event. Jose is going to move down to flyweight, and he's going to be the much taller fighter, longer fighter. He should also have some striking advantages. I just don't see how Azu would even entertain that, and I expect Azu to shoot early and often and just smudge this guy to death or just out grapple him to death. So pick here is going to be Azu via sub. I do think he's going to find the finish at some point. Minus 600. I still think he's a parlay piece. I mean, I think that, this could go to minus 700, but minus 600 right now is not bad. Maybe we'll get a buyback and, there's going to be a minus 500 somewhere around there, but I doubt it. I feel like most people are going to be on a zoo this week and with good reason. So picker is going to be a zoo, be a sub. Let's look at the next fight on the main card. So next fight, we have Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Miles Johns. Look at the odds for this fight right now. We have Miles John at minus 126, opened up at plus 105. So he's one of those dogs that turned into favorites. Not too much of a favorite, but he did turn into a favorite at one point right now. I'm leaning with Miles in this fight. I mean, Douglas, he's 38 years old. I mean, he should have all the skills to beat a fighter like Miles, but I cannot ignore the 8-year age gap between the two fighters. Douglas is 38 years old. That's literally way on the wrong side of 30 years old right there. Miles is 30 years old in the prime of his career physically. I think that Douglas also likes to brawl more often than not, and that style means that his chin is in danger at any point. The only reason why I'm not more sure in Miles is that he's very low volume at times, and this could end up being a close fight where every single activity matters. So for now, I am going to lean towards Miles showing up as an improved version of himself for this fight. And I think that Douglas will just show up with less pep in his step at age 38. Pick here is going to be Miles via decision, but I'm passing for now because I could see a world where Miles Johns does not cash here, and it could be a lesson that the vet teaches this guy. But I think 38 is too old, especially at 135. So yeah, give me Miles Johns. Let's look at the next fight here. So we have Timmy Kawamba versus Lucas Almeida, third fight on the main card. So interested to know why they put that as the third fight on the main card. Timmy Kawamba opened up at a minus 175. Now he's a minus 200. So, a little bit of action there. I'm going Almeida here, siding with him. I am a bit concerned about Almeida's chin after that last KO loss to Andre Fili, but I think he's going to be the better fighter in this matchup, better striker. And I think that this fight's going to be on the feet most of the time. Another concern that I do have is Almeida's less than stellar 40% takedown defense. It's kind of bad. And Kawamba should have enough of a wrestling edge to take us to the ground if needed. I mean, this guy fought on short notice against a Balaji Oki at lightweight, and he was able to take down Oki at one point. I think he went like 1 for 6 for takedowns, but still, I think Lucas has a really bad takedown defense, and Kawamba could definitely get the takedowns if needed. Now, the reason why I'm backing Almeida, though, is I do like that Almeida remains active off his back. He can threaten with subs, especially if Kawamba rushes his takedowns or makes a mistake on the mat. Kawamba also has below average top control, and I see Almeida, having opportunities to get back up and keep the fight standing where he should have an edge. So pick here is going to be Almeida via decision. I'm not going to overreact too much to Almeida's last 2 losses. I think that both those opponents were pretty quality in their respective paths, right? We had Pat Sabatini, who took him down, subbed him. I mean, Pat's one of the best grapplers in this division, even though he doesn't have a chin and pretty bad striking. And Andre Fili, one of the most talented guys in this division, even though he's inconsistent. I mean, he caught Almeida on a good day, right? Fili was on a good day there. So, yeah, I think that Almeida should have enough experience here to edge out a decision win. I'm going to pass for now just because of the few red flags that I do see on Almeida. So I don't trust him quite 100%, but pick here will be Almeida via decision for me. Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. So we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Antonio Tracali. Let's look at the odds for this fight. Minus 1,400 for Ikram, open up at a minus 800. So people have just been hammering this Ikram line. I'm not going to say much on this fight, honestly. Pick here's Ikram. I don't think there's much analysis that's needed here. Ikram is a potential top 10 fighter in this division at 185, maybe in top 5. Tracali literally brought on a short notice to save this fight last week. yeah, I think Ikram's gonna sub this guy. He's gonna show off his grappling skills in this one. Minus 1400. I don't think there's much value there. Honestly, yeah, I might just even, I think the the plus 170 via submission doesn't look that bad, honestly. Open up at plus 300, now it's plus 170, so that'll be the right that I go. I mean, the path that I go, but yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think minus 1400 will add any value to some of the, parlays, right? So yeah, I probably wouldn't play him in a parlay right now, but I would attack some of his props. That's for sure. All right, let's move on to the main event of the evening. We have a flyweight matchup. Could be some title implications here for the next, maybe another fight after this. We have Alex Perez versus Tatsuro Taira. Look at the odds. Taira minus 185, open up at minus 250. There was a point where he was actually a pick 'em, almost a pick 'em against Perez. So I'm going with Taira in this main event. Initially, I was on the Perez side, but after some further analysis, I believe that Taira, he has all the tools, the skills needed to finish a guy like Perez. Perez has a good 82% takedown defense, and he was fending off many of Muhammad Mokaev's takedowns in their fight, which, may lead many to believe that he will do the same in this matchup. After all, I think that Mokaev is regarded as a better wrestler than Taira, at least universally. I just believe that Taira has a much different and more dangerous grappling style for a fighter like Perez. Taira, he doesn't just spam the takedowns like Mokaev does throughout the fights. He actually likes to set them up behind his striking, which is much improved. Taira, he also likes to take the back quickly and may not need a full-blown takedown to lock in a sub, like how Perez lost to Pantoja. And also, I mean, just going back to the striking, he showed me some tremendous improvement in his striking against Carlos Hernandez. So I think that this guy from Japan's the real deal. He's the phenom from Japan, undefeated. I think he's the real deal. If this fight does go to decision, though, I could see it being a close fight. So if I'm backing Taira and it goes to decision, I'll definitely be sweating. I would actually just prefer to play his props. And yeah, I like the pick here is going to be Taira via sub. And, depending on how confident I am at the end of the week, I could see him as a parlay piece. But the prop plays are pretty value, in my opinion. First, second round sub, under 2.5, because I think that if the fight goes under, Taira should have more finishing equity here. And I mean, if it goes over, then hey, like it's going to be a later fight where fighters going to be less dry, right? They're going to be sweaty, and that could lead to Perez being better able to sprawl some of these takedowns and kind of fend them off. And at that point, it might be a really close fight because I think Perez is a good striker, but I think that Taira has also improved. So yeah, give me Taira here. But yeah, I'm gonna look and see what the odds look like. Actually, let me see right now so you guys can look at the odds as well. We have under 2.5 plus 115. That's not a bad play in my opinion. And then the sub minus plus 425 open up at plus 500. Plus 725 open up plus 650. So I don't think those plays are bad, honestly. I actually do like them. So that about does it for this fight night. Obviously we're looking to cash again. Sign up at purepicks.gg, guys. I mean, all you guys got to do is press access and you guys get the best picks available in the market, in my opinion. I think that going forward, we might even raise the prices, honestly, because I feel like, we're kind of cutting ourselves short in terms of the value that we bring. But yeah, let's get the picks there. I think it's one of the best values in the space. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm, and we'll be back soon. Best of luck to everyone for this week.